Let's reflect on the autumn equinox. I know when this comes out, it's going to be past the autumn equinox, but honestly, I have been at my witchcraft practice for some time and I've learned to really just go with the flow and adapt it. And sometimes to me that means rather than looking at any distinct singular day, looking out a little bit and looking kind of at the general energy, seasonal movement. That's the beauty, I think, of just being adaptive with your practice and embracing a seasonal practice where it's not necessarily just the seasons outside, but also the seasons of life that we go through. I just wanted to sit and pause for a moment, like really pause and just reflect on the autumn equinox, on the season that we're entering, and just have a little sip and chat together. Take a moment, grab a drink, grab a tea. You can have me on in the background while you do some chores around the house, whatever it is. Hi, my name is Juliana Hattis. I am the author of these books right here of Witchcraft Cocktails, Moon Magic Mixology, the Modern Witchcraft Book of Astrology and of Moon Magic. And I am all about living an intentional life. I'm really known for my magical mixology. I love mixing up magically inspired drinks, really tuning in to the ingredients that you're doing, both alcohol and non-alcoholic. So if you're into that, this is definitely the space for you. But just also intentional living when it comes to our magical, spiritual, energetic practices. I am a professional witch, but I am also someone who has a background in doing energy work professionally, with astrology, mixology, all those things. So I like to try and combine that into every little thing that I do. So I just got done doing my Agatha Witch's Brew recipe. This recipe really has a lot of magical elements going for it. This is a seasonal drink. We've got blackberry, we've got pomegranate, we have maple, rosemary, ginger. So good. It is definitely a fall recipe. God, I love it. Let me put that down. Let's talk about the autumn equinox. So there is really so much to think about. The autumn equinox is a day of transition from summer to fall. Also represents the second harvest of the 3 harvests. The day of the autumn equinox is supposed to have as close as possible, depending on your location, because the times of night and the times of day vary based off of where you are in the world, but as close a balance as possible between the hours of light and the hours of night. Past the autumn equinox, we're really descending into longer and longer hours of darkness. It's so apparent here in Arizona. It's crazy because the sun prevails over everything here. Thinking of what a harvest really represents, kind of reaping what you've sown, right? The seeds that you've planted, manifestation, abundance, connection to the land, gratitude. It is the second harvest. So we are in a time of collecting, celebrating abundance in some way, so maybe think, what is it that you are in a period of harvesting in your life right now? It could be really anything. Is there anything that you have laid the groundwork for that you're now seeing the results of in some fashion? And maybe it isn't necessarily a positive thing. It isn't always a positive thing. What energy do I want to move forward with? Because it is the second harvest and there is still a third harvest remaining. So there's still an opportunity. There's still work to be done. There's still work that we can do and tap into before we really head into the darkest part of year, fully heading into winter. So that's one thing I like about the second harvest from that angle, but also just thinking of it as really a period of transition. It's a transition energetically, it's a transition metaphorically, it's a transition around us, outside, in the weather, in the light. It's just kind of that reminder too on that balance of light and dark, that there will be that decline of light. It'll become more apparent over fall season as we slowly transition over to winter. And so tapping into that energy of that waning light, what can we still do? What do you want to alchemize there if it hasn't been necessarily what you've wanted? How can you change that on one level being the second harvest, right? You're realizing what are the most important things for you to really put your energy towards, because we have the waning light. We have limited energy, even in the metaphor of fall or autumn when it applies to our life at large, right? We have limited time here. Where is your energy going? And how can you utilize it in a way that's most meaningful for you as we're drawing our energy in and we're still pushing forward to that last harvest to bring forth some really key goals and using that waning light? You have to use it in a really intentional way. Now we're in a period where it's like, oh, I can't focus on everything at once. I've got limited time outside. And so what's the most important to me? Maybe I have less energy because there's less light, right? Seasonal depression's a thing. I'm crying on the inside. And so I think that is that beauty of that transitional energy and going inside and really thinking of what areas that we want to alchemize. And part of that is also letting go, because life is really showing us that in order to rebirth in the spring, right, in order to have that rebirth of energy, sometimes you have to let go of things. It can be certain projects, it can be energy that you've held on to, or wounds, or past things that it's time to forgive or move on from, or let go of, or change even just the narrative of. So it can be energetically, it can be physically, it can be mentally, it can be thought patterns, right? So when you look outside and you begin to see the changing leaf colors and the waning light and trees and life around you, like beginning to let go, what is it that it's time for you really to let go of? Another part I really like to think of when it comes to the autumn equinox is transitioning into the space of shadow work and inner work. I feel weird using the word shadow work because for some reason people have a lot of negative connotations to it. I'm not really sure like why. I think it's just people are afraid to look like the word shadow and dark and all that stuff, but it's just a facet of life. We are complicated beings, and shadow work really means looking within in the stuff inside you that sometimes is not so great. And where does that come from? Oftentimes that comes from current life, past life, traumas, patterns, could be things familial, family, could be things that we learned along the way, whatever it is. Oftentimes we have to look. When you look and you acknowledge that it's time to heal, you also acknowledge that it can be different. It can change. You can have something different for yourself. And sometimes when you're in that space, it's hard to really see and foster that. But it is possible. Okay, let's pause for a sec. It's so perfect to drink this when talking about shadow work and inner alchemy. I think for me, I'm reflecting on a number of things. A year ago, my dad passed away. And finally, end of August, on my birthday, I was able to go back to my dad's property, the property where I grew up, and finally say goodbye, because I knew that was the last time I was going to enter into that home the way that it was. One of my friends was like, when you go back to your home, look at what it is that you want to accept from your lineage and what it is that you don't. And by lineage, I think I really mean, for my family, right? Because lineage can be used in a lot of different ways. Both sides of my family are immigrants, right? There's a lot of amazing stuff that comes with that, of the strength and perseverance through hard times. And so I really did enter into that situation and was able to release thinking of what it is that I learned or what it is I accepted from that energy, that situation, and what it is I let go of. And I think that's a really powerful thing, because as we enter into fall, you have a chance. You have the waning of the light that's obviously all around you. You have the fire ceremonies of the fall equinox or Samhain. There's so much you can do right now. You have multiple chances to take a moment and pause and release, and nature is going to reflect that all around you. You can do these things at any time of year, right? But it's really a lot easier when the situations around you are echoing that change. And it allows you to really direct your conscious energy and your attunement to the nature spirits around you towards letting go of those things. So think about for yourself, whatever it is in your life, what is it that you are embracing and accepting as part of your path? And what is it that you're letting go of? And setting that intention as you enter into fall can really help you think about how you're going to alchemize that. Even just setting your intention on how you're going to alchemize and release that. And then you're going to have the whole cocoon of winter to metamorphosize into something else, into a different energy. I really like to think of the period from fall to the end of winter as like entering into this cocoon, like, you know, a butterfly going into a cocoon, going through metamorphosis. And what is a metamorphosis, right? Breaking down and transforming into something completely new. And so I really think the fall is that period of where you're kind of beginning to collect your energy more and more in the home environment, heading into this period of transition of where it's going to get darker and darker, and the home really becomes more important, right? We're at home more. There's a lot more celebrations happening. Watching movies this spooky season, guys, if you're like me and you're loving all these like witchy and spooky movies coming out, I'm definitely going to be staying at home and having lots of movie and popcorn nights. And so it's just more of that focus on the home environment. And what does the home represent, right? It is where we nurture our spirits, where we feel safe and secure. This really does depend on your living environment, but in what way can you create that space of where you can retreat to have that shelter? In the Northern Hemisphere, having all of these celebrations happening, we have Samhain or Halloween, you know, collecting with family, having meals. Maybe take a moment in whatever way you can that's unique to you to give gratitude to the things that are most important to you. Maybe it's leaving a little offering of something biodegradable outside, touching a tree by your house, just sending a text or meeting up for a coffee with someone. I think in all relationships, there's a give and take, a reciprocity, and nothing is ever 100% perfect. That doesn't mean that you should accept things that impact you negatively, but the things that you do find some joy from and are important to you, you know, looking at fostering those connections. And even if it's just with your spirit guides, you know, your animals, my cat's in the background sleeping, you know, the earth, whatever it is, taking a moment to foster a source of connection, even if it's just with spirit and the universe. Because I think it's important, part of being a human is to feel connected in some way. And it's up to you to find out to what that is. Really, what I would leave you guys with is this, is take the time to think about what it is that has been happening in your life. Because one of the things with these holidays or these celebrations on the witchy wheel of the year is they're always such specific days. And sometimes it's hard when you're going through a tough point in life, when you're worried about finances or you're just busy. It's really hard to pinpoint and celebrate something on a specific day. And so I think what I find most potent is to really just pause and look at what's going on in your life and looking at what the autumn equinox represents. You know, it's a second harvest. So we're manifesting, but we also have one more harvest left to go. So what do you want to put your energy towards? We have limited energy, limited light, you know, it's going to wane. So prioritizing and looking at what's most important to you, connecting to the land spirits, giving gratitude, connecting to those things that feed your soul and feed your spirit and make you happy. And just the balance of the light and the dark, balance in our lives, in our spirituality, and also that shadow work and inner alchemy, what we're letting go of and change it. Take a moment and think about those things. Whether or not you have the time to do grand old ritual for all these different days, I don't think that matters as much as it does pausing and setting an intention, but just doing that small little thing and setting the intention and letting the universe and spirit know that you want to set your focus on that can really alchemize your mind into look in that direction. And you'll be surprised when things pop up around you when you do that. Well, that was a lot. I'm really excited for this witching season. I'm just excited to be inside and make cocktails and connect. And I think part of that, you guys, is I might try streaming here. And I think I'm going to do it on Twitch. It's still a developing situation. But part of that is just connection, right? Finding community. So if that's something that you're kind of thinking of this fall or autumn equinox, you know, definitely stay tuned with me on that. I'm definitely going to post about it on Instagram. That's where I am the most. If you have been here this long, thank you so much. My YouTube channel is brand spanking new. And I'm like, who is even gonna watch this? I really do not know, but this is something that I wanted to do. So I am so excited. If you are interested in cooking with me and making cocktails with me, in talking with me and doing magic and spirituality with me. I'd love it if you could hang out with me in this space. I'd love to have you here. Let me know what your autumn equinox or intention is. Let me know what harvest drinks, what fall and autumn drinks you're interested in. And I am just so excited to connect with you in the spirit of the autumn equinox. I'm really happy you're here. I'm grateful for you, and I'm grateful for this space. Thank you, you guys. Anyway, I hope you have a beautiful autumn equinox, and let me know what you want to talk about together next. Na zdrowie!